to episode 31 of In the Lab. This week, people first, robots second. Hi, welcome to another episode of In the Lab. Today we're talking about a little cartoon that our own Eddie Alvaro made one day at work. It was titled People First, and it'll show up on the screen now. People first. Now, we said this is a mantra around the Strategy Lab office, and I don't think we were the first to come up with it. No. Gary Vaynerchuk's The Thank You Economy, a great book on, well, the title says it all, say thank you. Peter Shankman's Nice Companies Finish First is an entire book on case studies on why being a nice company is the new reality of what you need to focus on. Then finally, Don Peppers and Martha Rogers' Extreme Trust talked about the whole reality of the new social media world and the internet. It isn't the social media world. The biggest thing that's happening is transparency. So if you are a robot company, or if you're a company that relies on policy more than people, you're going to be in trouble. And so we use people first as kind of a mantra of how do you put your people first? How do you care more? How do you actually help your people? And so different examples start to come to mind about just doing the right thing is the better way to go. The first one is Haverford College. He was a young junior at the time, first year university, lost his parents. And the president of the university found out, or Haverford College, the president of the college found out about it, and he said, well, I feel horrible for this kid. Let's pay for his tuition. 4 years of free tuition. He goes on 10, 20 years down the road. This fella comes back and donates $25 million to the school. Be nice to your people. You never know how they're going to come back to you. You hear cool stories about Netflix and Virgin kind of abolishing vacation time, and so that you can take as much vacation as you want when you're working. It's kind of counterintuitive, but really, if you think about it, if you've hired the right people, they're not going to abuse the system. If they are abusing the system, then you're not hiring the right people. Everyone should be okay with having endless vacation days. As long as the job's getting done, who cares? There's one famous story I always remember. I used to talk to Brandon about early on in the Strategy Lab days about what we wanted to be remembered for. And it was a cool story in a Fast Company article about Steve Wozniak. Just when Apple went live, or when they went public, some of the employees at the time didn't have stock in the company. So if you think about that, everyone basically in a day has made a millionaire except for a few people. Now Steve Wozniak, the co-founder with Steve Jobs at the time, he went out of his way to give some of that stock to those employees out of his pocket, which I thought was such a brilliant story of a complete selfless act that people will remember for the rest of their lives, all because Steve Wozniak wasn't that greedy. You have to have proactive policies that empower your people. It should never become the company or a standard operating procedure before people. There's a really cool podcast recently called New Me 2015. Well, I'll put it in the actual blog post. But what it talked about is how the Toyota way compared to the GM way was very much centered around people. It wasn't the Henry Ford, assembly line. It was more team focused, and you switched jobs all day long, so you never got the monotonous work that drove people to the drinking and drug abuse that happened. It's a really cool, interesting story about how even for manufacturing plants, you have to worry about your people. Lastly, even if you're the boss, even if you're the executive, even if you are the most important person technically in your company, assume you're not. I love the story of Whole Foods and how they have the same benefits package from the CEO all the way down to the teller that works in each store. That to me is a proactive policy that empowers your people to say, hey, look, you are just like us. You are no different, hence why they get the same benefits. So what are you going to do for your company? When are you going to start forgetting about policy and start actually looking at your frontline people and saying, how do we help you more? How do we actually help you do your job better? Maybe it's getting rid of a holiday. Maybe it's allowing people to have mental health days, something we're trying around the office, the Strategy Lab. Take a day off if you want a day off. You shouldn't have to be forced to come into work if you don't want to. So let us know. How are you putting people first? What's the coolest story you've heard about a company or organization putting people first? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe here. Follow us on Twitter here. Find us on Instagram here. And look at my robot belly button here.